You are very much welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is Family Talk Show. Thank you very much for keeping it. Church of Uganda Family TV. My name is Claire Bwenje, and thank you for joining in. This evening, we will be talking about the impact of media and internet use in the character development of children. Yeah, and of course, I know you will be blessed to follow this. To discuss this is an amazing couple, a very great couple, Mr. Fortunate Kagumaho and Mrs. Dorothy Kagumaho. Ladies and gentlemen, join me welcome Mr. Fortunate and Mrs. Dorothy Kagumaho. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claire.
Hi.
Hi.
Happy to see you.
Good to see you.
Twabashemererwa.
Nite Tuachira, we are delighted to be on your TV,
Yes,
to be in your sitting rooms. We're excited to be here.
I know. We are happy to have you here at Church of Uganda Family TV. And I know you have a lot to share with us. We have a lot to learn from you, the Kagumahos.
A lot to share.
Yes. We know that in this era, the use of internet, the use of media is quite high.
Yes.
We use the media day in, day out. Very many people have cell phones. Right now, people are able to see us because of media, the television.
Yes.
But of course, we'll come to realize that there are importances of using the media, using the internet, and also the disadvantages of using the internet and using the media. And I believe at the end of this discussion, a viewer out there will have learned something. And of course, to start with you, Fortunate.
Yes.
Please share with us your experience during your childhood days. Were you using internet?
Thank you so much.
Tell us about
Claire.
your days.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am very excited to be in your studio today. I think we sit here in the capacity of as parents, because we have a little child, a little girl, and we've been blessed to parent quite a number of children as well. But also this is a topic I am very passionate about, because my master's thesis actually was on this very same topic. So I'm really excited and looking forward to share with you more about this. Growing up, of course there was no internet, and you know, people are making jokes that what did we used to do with phones when there was no internet, you know? Now people go to the washrooms and, you know, most of the time they're actually on their phone, on their WhatsApp, they're on Google. No, we never used to do that. We probably used to doodle in the toilets during our time as children growing up, which is different right now. It must be very difficult for a parent raising a child in this generation where your competition is internet that has almost all the answers.
True.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So you were in the days of when there was no internet days.
Probably the internet was there. It was just not accessible.
I know.
Just like some people had colored TV, and for us, all teams, the World Cup is coming up. All teams were black and white.
But at least they were there. We want to thank God that they were there.
Yes,
the black
there
and
was
white
something.
ones.
Yes.
So,
now
Dorothy.
it's HD. Yeah.
Dorothy, how were your childhood days? And I also want you to compare that, your days, your days, and also the current days when there is internet, there is media, everything is accessed easily to children at all ages. So I would want you to compare your childhood story and the current. You're welcome, Dorothy.
So happy to be here. It's a privilege. My childhood days, we really didn't have internet. So most of our time was for play. We would play with my cousins. We used to play, oh my God. In the village, it was about play.
Oh yes.
Then school. Then I grew up with my grandmother for a bit. And then she would tell us stories. At around 7, it would be story time.
Wow, that was really beautiful.
Which is really different from right now. Because right now, everything is sort of different. It's about TV, it's about social media, it's about WhatsApp, statuses. So things have really changed a lot. Yes.
Wow, what is happening now? What do you
Now
see?
it's about, let me put the status, how many people have liked.
Yeah.
There's Facebook,
Yeah.
there's TV, there are series, all these other things
Yeah.
that are really different from how it was for us growing up. And I think we got the opportunity to interact more with our parents, because our parents, when they would come back home, they would have time for us.
Yeah.
They would actually be present, you know. But lately, you find a parent has been at
Returning back
work,
to
they
smartphones.
come back home, and then
I
they're
know.
their phone,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
they are catching up, and the children are screaming out for attention.
Yeah.
So I think that has really changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. And in your sharing, Dorothy, I realized that those were the sweet days when we
Yes.
had time with our parents, with our
Yeah.
guardians, with our grandparents to tell us stories about, you know, those old days.
Yes.
But you are saying that sadly it has changed.
Yes.
These days, children,
It has.
are on their phones.
Yes.
Mothers are on their
On their
phones.
phones.
Fathers are on their phones. Like no one has time for one another.
Yes.
Wow. So let me ask, do your children have phones? Do they access the internet? Children or child?
Child.
Child. Wow.
Child. But
Child.
sometimes children.
So
Yeah,
sometimes
like,
children.
yeah, during
So when those
holidays, yeah.
children come at
Yeah.
your home, do you allow them to access the internet? Do you allow them to watch TV or at your home? There are those old days that you are in.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So I admit, guilty as charged. Our child accesses internet, but through our phones.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
And we tend to avoid the overstimulation. So there are days there's days and times she can watch and what she can watch on her phones. And you know, these phones are tricky. You know, you open YouTube and then things start to pop up, and these things are exposing our children to things they shouldn't be exposed
Exactly.
to. Yeah, so for our child, we put YouTube Kids, and we know things that she watches, and we actually take time to watch with her.
Exactly.
Yes, so to avoid, you know, getting exposed to things she shouldn't be exposed to, which are freely out there in the media. Yes.
I think that's so nice. Yeah, as parents you have to make sure you see what your children are watching.
Definitely.
Sadly, you know there are cartoons. They say children love cartoons.
Yes.
Do you realize that these days some cartoons are bad?
Oh, cartoons are terrible. Actually, I am one of the people who still watches cartoons, especially with my
How fortunate.
with my children. We watch cartoons.
Yeah.
And there are cartoons you'll see, and there are people sleeping in coffins. The amount
Can you
of
imagine?
witchcraft being introduced in cartoons lately is actually alarming. You know, take a look at any screen that you'll
That's
see.
too bad.
There's so much themes being passed on. You know, a little child, 3 years old, watching is being introduced to sex. Is being introduced to homosexuality, is being introduced to violence in those cartoons. But also that's actually one of the problems we are facing. The other biggest problem for especially children between 0 and 7 years is what we'd call overstimulation. So parents sometimes feel busy. They are too busy for their children, or they come back home tired and you just want to catch a breath. You know, work was difficult. So you say, let me put for you cartoon. And you think you're giving cartoon to your child, and of course they're excited to watch.
I know.
But what you're actually doing to them is overstimulating their brains. You know, cartoons are very creative. You want to watch, you are engaged, you want to keep hooked on. So it affects the child's attention span, because what they see on TV is really quite interesting. Take that child to class. When the teacher starts to speak, 1, 2, 3, they are already bored, because the teacher is not putting as much attention, as much fun into teaching as cartoons would. So you find teachers complaining children are not watching. I know children actually who sit and pee on themselves while watching, glued on TV.
Oh.
And you as a parent, you think you're doing a good job, you're entertaining your child. But at that stage of development, their brain is learning. Think of their brain as a plain piece of paper. And you're teaching them that the way to learn is actually make it fun and attractive. And you take them to school and they can't learn. And the child is performing badly just because their mind was overstimulated. And these are things actually also on the internet. When we talk about the internet, can be good, can be bad. These are some of the things you can read on the internet. As a parent, read about overstimulation before you actually give your child cartoons to watch. And then think about, what are they watching? What are the themes there? Should I watch with them? What am I exposing to my children? Yes.
Wow. Yeah, we are in a time when no one cares about your children.
Yeah.
They'll just dump each and everything.
Definitely.
All
Yeah.
the bad, all the good,
Yeah.
anything and everything on internet.
Yeah.
So I think it's up to us to be intentional and know,
Definitely.
what is my child watching?
Definitely.
If they've spent 5 hours in the room, what are they
Spot on.
doing?
Spot
With
on.
your phone,
Yes.
with internet.
Yes.
Oh my. I think as parents we have a big role to play here. Wow. That's
Train up a child.
Yeah, I know.
And yesterday I was actually thinking about the scripture. Train up a child in the way they should go.
Yeah.
And training is not a one-day thing. It is a process.
It's a
It is
process,
a
yes.
lifetime. It is the things you're accepting them to be exposed to.
Yeah, and actually, even when they keep seeing you using your phone, you're on
Yes,
YouTube,
definitely.
they also feel like, I want to be like mommy.
Way
you know?
to go.
Or I want to be like daddy. My dad is always
Way to
on
go.
YouTube. Eh?
Way to
You know,
go.
there is a time I saw a TikTok and it
Yeah.
was a little kid like so young and he's on TikTok
Yeah.
and he's singing some song which I don't even know, but
Yes.
word by word. And in
Yeah.
my heart I was like, okay, how? This
How
is
did you
like
get
a
here?
5 years boy and he's
Yeah.
singing, you know, a song, a secular song from A to Z.
Yeah.
Not missing a word.
Not
I'm like, oh my God, have mercy.
How did we get there?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Dorothy, what do you think? What is not
Yes,
happening
maybe to
here?
add on,
Yes.
sometimes as parents we think that our children are not seeing us, but they actually see.
Exactly.
They see what we do. So I think as parents, you also have to live by example. Because you cannot say that you want your child to have less cartoon time, yet for you, you spend most of your time in the couch.
Binging movies.
Watching movies, you know. They call it binging, yes? You're watching movies from morning to evening. You're on your phone. Like when you're maybe in an environment with people, sometimes when you go maybe to visit, you're on your phone, you're not interacting with other people. What do you expect your child to do? I think your child will not do any different.
Yeah.
So I think as parents, sometimes our expectations for our children are really high, and that is not, I don't think it's fair. I think even us as parents, we have a role to play. First with ourselves, you know.
Yeah.
How much time do you spend on the internet? Do you give your family time? Does your family get enough time with you? As a mother, do you spend most time on WhatsApp, on Pinterest, you know, Instagram?
Slaying.
You're slaying. And then the maid is doing all the work.
You're
you know?
slaying
The
mom.
maid is doing
Slaying
all the
mom.
training. The TV is training your child,
Yeah.
and you're just on your phone. I think
Yeah.
it should start with us as parents as well. Work on yourself as a parent. Then your child will easily learn from you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Dorothy, that's so right. That TV is training your child,
Yeah.
and it's and just like we were all sharing, you can imagine how it is training your child.
Yes.
With all those bad things at 5 years, at 6 years, you're looking at your child and you're like, really? What
Yeah.
is not? How are you responding? Because they have seen all that in TV.
Definitely.
You know, so I think as parents we have a very, very big role to play.
Yeah.
To be intentional,
Yeah.
see and know what is my child watching, what are they doing, what are they interested in.
Yes.
Oh my. This is really, really good. So what is the impact of internet, of media, in the character development of children?
Yeah, that's,
Both maybe positive and the negative, but let's start with the positive.
yeah, so children are impressionable. To add on what Dorothy was going to say, when their brains start developing as soon as they're in the stomach, of course. That's why they tell you when you're pregnant, speak to the child. And actually, if you speak to them, they respond. You'll hear kicks. They say they listen to the mother's voice first, mother's heartbeat, then the people that are around them next. Children take more time to learn our world than we actually take to understand them. So for a child to see you on on your phone and you're not speaking back to them, it registers in their mind that maybe I'm not important. Or maybe that is how life is supposed to be. So you find a grown-up adult is addicted to their phone just because of what you did to them. The other thing I learned during our child development classes at UCU, this therapist told us that cartoons, for instance, do not talk back. But as a child is growing, they are learning to interact with the world. And then sometimes they speak to the TV and the TV doesn't speak back to them. So in their mind, it registers that people are very bad. They do not talk to you. Or that's how you're supposed to be. So you end up having children who prefer to sit and not talk or sit and watch TV. You have people who have difficulties in communicating just because their programming has been affected. This is the same thing that there's no interaction, first of all. It's one-sided. The TV is just talking to you. And sometimes these cartoons ask you, which shape should we choose? And sometimes you choose the wrong one and they say, yes, correct, it's a circle. But for you, you picked the wrong one. You know,
Exactly,
the feedback loop. But I think even as we prepare to go into the next session, we can talk about the themes that our children are exposed to and how this affects their mental health, for instance. First of all, we said there's no feedback. But then there are themes like, for instance, violence. And you find that your child watches a movie and they go to school and they practice it. We've actually had cases at schools where children have killed their peers just because they watched a certain movie and they want to try it out. Why would people actually spend time to tell you do not try this at home when they know that it doesn't happen?
Exactly.
Yeah?
I know.
Yeah, so I think the media is something that we need to be critical with what it exposes our children to. As we even move into the next session, I want to break this down into the different themes and how that actually affects our children. Yes.
It's okay.
Yes. So, we start, or you want to first
It's
go
okay.
further? Okay. So, for instance, one of the things that we've seen exposed on TV is what we'd call soft porn or pornography. And we know how dangerous that can be. Take a look at some of the music videos you see. Choose any local music, you'll see. You see people dressing naked or dancing seductively to music, you know? What are they trying to push on? That is what we call soft porn. And the idea is expose them slowly and make them want more. The issue with pornography is that it progresses. So it starts small with a simple kiss, with a happy ending, then it goes to, I want to see more. You know, I want to see more. And then before you know it, they are looking at naked people. And before you know it, they are looking at videos, at short clips. Before you know it, they are looking at longer clips. And then they get introduced to masturbation. Then they get introduced to actually trying out the sex. Then actually it changes their view of people. And you know, they say all sin is the same, but actually the Bible characterizes sexual sin differently. When you read your scripture, the Bible characterizes sexual sin differently. It's because it's sin against your own body. But then it gets introduced in simple ways. Even in a pop-up, you know, you're Googling your things, and then a pop-up opens up. Do you want to play? And there's this one that people have made a meme into. I bet you cannot last 40 seconds playing this game. And you know, they are hooking you, you know, with those baits that pop up, even when you're innocently watching. If it pops up on a work laptop, what makes you think it will not pop up on something that your child is watching? And we ask ourselves, what are our children getting exposed to?
The impact of media and internet use in the character development of children. With me in the studio to discuss this is Mr. Fortunate Kagumaho and Mrs. Dorothy Kagumaho. Pleased to have you here. It's really exciting. I love where we had stopped. Fortunate, please continue and share with us.
Thank you.
This is really exciting.
Thank you so much. Yes, so think of the media and the people who invest money into it. And of course, there are people who, they put time and resources in these things. Of course, they also want to pass on their themes. Of course, they also want to pass on their interests. And like one of the themes that has clearly come out for me even when you look at the movies we watch. For instance, all the movies you'll watch from Hollywood, there'll be a theme of sex, there'll be a theme of gay marriages, there'll probably be a theme of you can survive alone. And some of these things contradict with what the Bible tells us. And one of the topics we're talking about is how they introduce us to pornography. This is for both children or whoever is accessing the media. If you have a phone, if you've been to internet, at one step or another, you've been introduced to pornography. And think about this a few years back. When you actually saw somebody naked, you'd be shocked. There'd be like a shock factor. But the media has worked on making that normal. I remember the first time we heard about a sex tape coming out. We were alarmed. We said, oh my God, sex tape has come out. What is this? And you know the
Where are the morals?
I know the first time something like this happened in the Bible, it did not end well. I know. Remember, there are people who saw their father bathing, and then animals came from the field and ate them. But now, this is, you know, it's supposed to be a curse to look at somebody naked. But the media has made it so easy. We see people on TV almost dressed. Almost dressed.
Almost.
Almost dressed. And you see, the brain is supposed to add up the dots. Slowly by slowly, you actually start to like it. You know, one of the papers that sold most, used to sell most, was red paper. Because people like the concept of nudity. And they like it because, I do not know, I probably cannot give an answer to that, but there's a way the brain gets stimulated when we see things of human interest. So people actually get introduced to pornography through soft ways. Like we said, it starts with a movie, you want it to end, happy ending. You know, people never get married. Mostly they don't get married. But we know that happy ending is when the guy gets the girl, they kiss and they enter the room. That's a concept being built. Before you know it, when they say I love you, they kiss, concept being built. So if I love someone, I should kiss them. If I love someone, I should have sex. I mean, everybody's doing it. The media says everybody's doing it, so we buy it. Before you know it, people start to dress skimpily. And then progressively, the way pornography works is that it progresses from one step to another. You want to see, oh, they were dancing. What if they removed the clothes? What if they actually did the act? And then before you know it, they start to complement it with things like masturbation, like sex, and so on. The other thing they get introduced to is violence. We had talked about the violence. They see, they want to try it out. You know how many people watched Chinese movies and think they can do kung fu? Quite a number. Yeah. Because what we see on the media, there's a theory that says that the media is like a magic bullet. You shoot it out and, you know, the effects are instant, they are spontaneous. Even when you do not know it, your subconscious is just registering some of these things. And for children who are impressionable, it is being programmed in their minds. I mean, look at children playing with guns. You know, we buy them toy guns. And the way they play with them is how they see in the movies. Accidentally give a child a gun. You'll see what will happen.
Jack Chan.
You'll see what will happen. In the US, they're having these troubles of gun issues, you know, children shooting their parents. And I think to these children, it's actually play. They're just playing, you know, because they've seen it in the movie. So they think they can do it. Their sense of self is actually being affected by the internet. You know, you see the people that are slay queens are the ones trending on the internet because of the way they dress, you know, and therefore you want to dress like them, you want to act like them. And then the sense of self actually dies because you do not know who you are. You want to be like how you see the things on the movies. That's why you see people want to tattoo their bodies. Ask them why they are doing it. Yeah,
fortunate. I at least let one mother or father breathe out there. Tell them what are some of the things they can do to help to keep their children a bit busy and not to introduce them to the internet and to the media at an early stage. Because hearing from you, I know someone out there is like, what
is happening?
What is not happening? And
yes.
I'm sure they want to know. How
Definitely.
can they keep their children busy in good and productive things?
Yeah, definitely. So to avoid overstimulation, I think there should be something like TV time. Children need to have limited access to exposure to the TV. That's one of the things we need to do. Internet is good. Internet can be terrible. It can be really terrible. Even for adults, you know, unlimited internet for is really bad. There are good things you can get from it. There are bad things you can get from it. So I'm thinking there should be, you should put timers to it. Say, agree with your children and say, between this time and this, you can watch TV. But after that, go play, go do something else. Because even the creativity of the children is going to disappear if they're actually not trying some of these things out. And I know I sound like a messenger of doom, but definitely I was going to talk about the good things that we can do.
You.
And for the parents that have already given access to their, granted access to the internet and this technology for their children, there are apps that they can use to monitor and control what they can access. For instance, Google has Parent Link. You install it on the app, or you install it on the gadget of the child and your gadget, and you can limit what they can access. I think this is something that the parents can install, especially for those who have phones, who have tabs. Internet is a thing to limit, especially for the children who are not rational thinkers. For them, what they see is what they believe. Exactly. And actually, when you have arguments with your child, they say, but I saw someone do it. But my teacher said. But my auntie said. Because for them, there's no rationality. What they see is what they do. Yes.
Exactly. But I'm actually now feeling for a busy mother or busy father who keeps her children with the nannies, with the maids at home. And well, the father, the mother, they do not want them to be on the internet and on the TV. Yeah. But the nanny, the maid, they are okay. You know, you can be on TV because it gives me time to do my housework. It gives me time to wash the clothes and do all that. So what do you say to to the parents, those who are so busy, or, you know, they are looking for money and they are leaving their children with the nannies at home, and the nannies really, what are they doing? Allowing them to see. I think, Dorothy, you can help us here.
Okay, so first of all, I love God very much. For me, everything goes back to God. Yeah. So, of course, the world is crazy right now. Mothers are looking for money. It's not like those days when the mothers would be at home and taking care of the children, and then the fathers would provide. You find that lately there are more single mothers. There are more mothers taking care of their children and their family, more than the wives that have help. So one thing I would like to say is, first of all, pray for your children. It's very important to pray. Everything goes back to prayer, because you can be there and you monitor what your children are watching. You see the movies they are watching. You put TV time, all these things. But in the end, it goes back to God. So pray for your children. Pray that even in those moments when they are watching, at least the Holy Spirit will be there to guide them. My mother used to pray for us all the time. She would lock herself in the bedroom and pray for us. And sometimes you'd find that even when you're at school, you have that thing of, am I really doing this? No, I shouldn't do this. So first of all, pray for your children. Even when they are with the nannies, pray that God will watch over them. Pray that the nannies will do the right thing at the right time, because not everyone is able to stay home and take care of the children. And also, when you get back from work, please get time with your child. You know, take time. You can take a walk, or you can just sit with them, eat with them, you know, because some of the busy parents, we understand, like after a very crazy day at work, it's really hectic. The last thing you want is noise. But you can maybe say, I'll be spending maybe 20 minutes of being intentional, because some of these things we have to be intentional. So you spend time with your children, eat with them, read to them, listen to them, because they always have something to say. And you can hear them out. Ask them, how was your day at school? Who are your friends? And the more you open up and you give them that space to open up to you, they'll be closer to you and they can tell you. My girl actually sometimes will tell me, Mommy, this phone is showing witches. You know, like those things that pop up, and we're like, no, we don't watch those things, because she knows and you have taken time to watch with her, you know. So as parents, however busy you are, take time and be intentional. You can say every Saturday is family time, every Sunday is family time. And also you can utilize Sunday school. Yeah, take your children to Sunday school, let them learn about God. You know, all those things are very important. Then let your children work with you. You can do chores with them. It's okay for mothers to wash utensils with your children, because sometimes children actually want to watch more. They want to be on internet and the nannies are doing everything, you know. The child has finished to eat. They are leaving the plate there. Their legs are all up. They are not doing anything in the house apart from watching. They're not even contributing to Yaka or anything. Like, let them learn to be responsible. Let a child know that I have to shower myself, I have to lay my bed, you know. It starts from like the very first steps, you know. You show them, you work with them, and with time it will just become practical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. I think it's time we take the hard truth that we no longer have communal children.
Yes.
No one will take care of your children
That's
apart
true.
from you.
That's true.
You said that these days are evil, and indeed,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
no one will
Very
have
hard
mercy
days.
on you.
That's
It's
true.
up to you to know how to raise your children.
Yes.
Plan to see how can I do with my schedule to find time for my children.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, and it begins with us, mothers and fathers, to create time to be intentional in parenting these children. Yeah, thank you very much. So what's the role of the church in this what we are talking about, the media, the internet? What should the church do, or what?
Yeah.
I know we have already tackled a bit on the role of a parent.
Yeah.
If you have something a bit to add on the parent side, and then we go to the children's side, to the church side, sorry.
So as the Bible says that children are a gift from God, I imagine once you get a gift from God, you take on the responsibility. If you get a gift from anyone, you know you take care of it. It becomes your responsibility. God has given us children as our responsibility. As a parent, there are hard things you're going to have to do. There are adjustments you're going to have to do. Most of our nannies are actually not educated. And you're trying to raise your child, because the child's value system, anyone's value system is acquired. What they learn is what they do. And ask yourself, do I want my child to be like my nanny? Because if they're spending 80% with the nanny, they'll sound like the nanny, they'll think the nanny is their mother. Some children actually prefer to be with their nannies than with their mothers. Or with their fathers. Because the nannies play with them, they listen, they are the bigger authority in the child's life. And children don't lie, by the way. What you see is what you get. So I think parents need to take the hard step and take this on. And as a church, there's a time we used to say, no secular music or no dancing like this. But you know the internet is here to stay.
Yeah.
So this is something that we'll have to live with as a church. How does the church then come in? I think the church should open up to it and maybe train the young people about their identity and how to use the media for good. How do we work with this thing that is here? The media is busy pushing in their agenda. How do we readjust? How do we cope with the trends that are there now? Because, for instance, people might not dance to a hymn, but there is on TikTok, but they can dance to something that's cool and Christian. There are other Christian values that we can pass on as a church. Can we have young church leaders may be given responsibility to take on something like this, because the most affected people is actually the youth. So I think I'd advise the church leadership to actually sit and think of structures for young people to actually come up and shine in these spaces. How do we package our gospel? How do we package the church content to suit the platforms that are there?
Yeah, we are discussing a great topic, the impact of internet use and media in the character development of a child. And before we went for a break, we were still hearing from Fortunate about the role of a parent and the role of a church in the media usage and the internet usage in the character development of a child. Thank you very much. Fortunate, please take it from there.
Yes, thank you so much. And one of the other things that I thought we could talk about is the friends that our children make online. This can be a good thing, but it also can be a bad thing. One of the things that we have done with our daughter is that we take interest as parents to know who our friends are. Every day we ask, did your friends come to school? Who are your friends? And the beauty with starting at this young age is that when they are older, they won't be shy to tell you that I have a boyfriend or that I have a crush. These are some of the topics difficult to talk about as a parent. But one of the problems that we had, especially in lockdown with teenage pregnancies, is that children did not know. They probably tried out things, and many brothers impregnated their sisters because as parents you didn't talk to your children about these things. You know, tell them if you have sex, you're going to get pregnant. But also make them your friends that they can tell you about anything and everything.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's easy if you make them a friend.
Yes.
You, in your conversation, in your jazzing, in your chatting, it's easy for a child to bring it up.
Yes.
But if you're this, busy, hi, good morning, have a good day, I don't think it will be easy for them to, share
because
what is
no
happening
connection
in their lives.
Yes.
And what you're talking about, it's quite true. These days, there are many, many relationships that, are coming up through the internet, Facebook, Facebook those days. Someone would put a photo, it would put a photo driving like a Jeep, a very good car when it's even like at the washing bay,
Up to now we are having fake marriages.
Yes. And someone looks at it and is like, wow, this one has a Jeep. Hey, Kumbe is a washing bay guy. The driver, the boss left it behind, and the driver is using it and is lying you here and there, and because you met him on Facebook, he's throwing sweet words on you, and you're like, wow, this is a cool guy. Before you know it,
you're in trouble.
Hey.
You're in trouble. Yeah. And I think girls fall for this a lot.
Exactly.
I actually know a close friend who organized for a marriage with a Nigerian guy. They had never met, but they were chatting on Facebook, and they fell in love. And they went on, planned, organized the introduction, kuchala, and the guy kept on saying, I'm coming. And then at one point, the guy got stuck and said, send me some money, I'm stuck at the airport, I'm going to pay you back when I... And on the D-Day, the guy did not show up. Internet is filled with fake people. Like we had already said, the self-worth actually disappears because people are trying to compete, look good, show off. I have the
slaying.
car, slaying. And they are filters that make you, make pimples disappear.
TikTok, it makes you a complete different person.
Definitely.
Someone looks at you and is like, okay, this is an angel. But look at it physically.
When you actually get
it's another story. But anyways, what you're talking about is so true. Like, we have to be in the lives of our children.
Yes.
To understand, if someone tells you that I have a friend, where did you find that friend? Go further and know who that friend is.
Yes.
Where do they come from?
Can they visit us?
Yes, can they visit?
Yes.
You see? Yeah, before you know it, Someone, your child is with a stranger, you know,
Yes.
a complete stranger. Thank you very
Definitely,
much.
yeah.
I would love us to talk about the cyber bullying,
Yes, yes.
which is common these days.
And it's actually such a big topic that our parliament has actually introduced an internet usage policy. And it's quite a controversial bill that they've tabled before the parliament. But I think cyberbullying is so real. I mean, there are people out there telling your child to go hang themselves, you know, and they are giving them ideas, 100 ways to die.
Oh,
And they are passing it
God
on.
have mercy.
This is why we're saying start small. At this level, ask your child, if you still have young children, who are your friends? Can I know them? When they join an online platform at whatever age you agree that they should, you know, empower them to know who they are and then also to be able to explain who their friends are. I mean, we had a story in the media the other day. Children from a certain school almost got kidnapped because they were online. They got to meet someone who promised them money. I was going to take them abroad and, you know, was promising them jobs. We are seeing people get promised jobs and then they come back with one kidney or something like that. These things are real. The government might not help you because, you know, I mean, we are now 8 billion people in the whole world. How are they going to zero on your child? As a parent, please take the first initiative. Make sure that your child is safe. When they go to their bedroom and lock, as teenagers must be difficult being a parent to the teenagers, they lock themselves in the bedroom and are always chatting with people. Take interest. Who are you chatting with? One of the first red flags should be if your child can't show you their phone. That's a red flag. And of course, as a parent, you need to lead by example. If you're hiding your phone away from the child, they are going to learn and do better because for them, they learn even faster. So check randomly and say, so who are your friends? Who do you chat with? In the lockdown, they were doing homeschool, you know, and then we logged into a Zoom class and we read through the chats then we had a 7-year-old in the house. And children were in the chat room. Some were busy conning themselves. This is P3, P2.
Can you imagine?
This is P2, you know, P2, P3. And they're already saying, I like you, I love you, you know, those things. And then there's when it got messy. And they were telling themselves, you look like a pig. And somebody said, you look like a dog. These are children in P7. Imagine somebody telling your child they look like a pig. And they were actually using even harsh words. And when we talked about it and we tried to intervene, and you know, the teachers were not even following. As a parent, what is your child doing on the phone? Who are they talking to? How are you safeguarding them from some man telling them, I'm going to send you money? Send me pictures of yourself. Yeah. It's quite a discussion that we can have.
Yeah, please let's hear from Dorothy.
Yes, maybe to add on what Fortunate was saying, I think we can also have different alternatives. Know what your child likes,
Yes.
Know what they're interested in. I'm sure they're not only interested in the internet and TV. Some like music, some like sports, some like swimming. So get time and take them, let them enjoy their hobbies, you know. It cannot all be about the internet and cartoon. And also, we didn't talk about the good part of the internet. I think it's educative. And as a teacher,
Wow.
there is this app for Jolly Phonics, and it actually teaches the children how to read through the sounds. So some of those things can help educate your children. And then also, there are Christian things that your child can watch.
Yeah.
Sometimes let them not only watch Peppa Pig and Coco Melon, they can also watch Superbook. Superbook is very interesting for the children. Even the adults can actually watch it. And you watch a story with your child and you go through it, they tell you what they have learned. And also there are also Christian things on the internet that the children can actually watch. Yes, so also being part of your child's life. Be their friend, listen to them, and the more you give them time, they will actually not have as much interest, on the internet. Some of them go to some of them want to watch because, you're busy, you're on your phone, or maybe you've locked yourself in a bedroom. Some parents are busy quarreling, and the environment is just torture for their children.
Yeah.
And the maids are also worked up. Imagine the maid has been with your child from morning to evening, and even in the night, they are still with your child. Trust me, raising a child is not easy. So even the maids, you have to appreciate the work that they do and give them some breathing space, When you come back, be available. Take over, take charge. Let the maid know that, the mother can now shower the child. Let her also get some breathing space.
Yeah.
Because the more they are overworked, the more they'll just put things for the children to watch. Some of them will just put Nigerian things when you're not around. And the child will just keep watching, the things that they get exposed to.
Yeah.
And the things that the maids like to watch.
Yeah.
Believe me, there is 1% of the maids that will be like, maybe the child shouldn't watch these people kissing. Most of them don't want to know, They are done with their work. If people are kissing and your child is there,
or they just simply don't know.
Yes. Yeah, because some of them have stopped probably in primary 6, primary 3.
Yeah.
And they've also not had these things. They have no idea.
Yeah.
So God, like Fortunate was saying, children are a gift from God. And we as parents are custodians. Believe me, that child is not even yours. It is God's child, And it is your responsibility. And on that day when God takes you, He will ask you, what did you do with Heavenly Joy, Kagumaho? Heavenly Joy was busy watching, I don't even know her friends. Or even this happened to her, I had no idea. We've had parents and they're like, oh my God, they raped my child. How did that happen?
Yeah.
And it happens under your nose and you have no clue. You haven't even taken time to see, this child is quiet lately. This child is reserved. What is happening? Some girls even will start their periods. You have no idea and you're the mother. Parents, let us do our part because that is what God has called us for. God has given you those children to be a blessing to them. And some people don't have children actually. And the ones who have children are like, oh my God, I didn't even sleep. I need time to myself. I need to use some internet. Like they don't have that time. The people who don't have their children wish to have that time. So if God has blessed you with a child, we know it's hard, but let's be intentional and then make a better generation for our children.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dorothy. I think that is well spoken from a mouth of a mother. These children come from God. Thank you very much, Dorothy. When you realize that you are nurturing a child of God, you be intentional, you are careful, you take time to understand what is happening, what is going, through in the life of this child. So thank you very much for that important sharing. So we would love to learn from you. How do you use your phones? What do you, when you're on your phone, what do you do? What do you use? Because we are here preaching the gospel. Yeah. So we want to know, do you also, have days when you...
I think this is going to be different for so many people.
Exactly.
When there are people who like TikTok, there are people on different platforms. I personally am just on WhatsApp and I'm a terrible WhatsApp user. People usually send me messages and I see them like 2 days later. What I've tried to do, what I pray that God helps me with is that when my child is around and they ask me a question, I look them in the face. This is one way of teaching the children how to communicate. When you're talking to someone, you're not on your phone. You're looking at someone. You pay attention. I cannot be talking to you when I'm watching a movie. It means the movie is more important than you are. So whenever the children are around, we try as much as possible to keep the phones away. And unless when we're tired, and then we often watch together. Like most nights we'll say, let's watch a Superbook. Superbook has Bible stories and in an interesting way. This is one of the things that the parents can actually try out with their children.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, our time is fast spent. I will give you one minute to
Yes.
say your last remarks and we will sign out.
Yes.
Sorry about my voice. Ah.
Okay, so the Bible says in Isaiah 53:13 that our children are taught of the Lord. So I know it's a hard time and we are all doing our best. We are not perfect, we are all learning.
Yeah.
But let's just pray that God will teach our children Himself, that He will teach our children the things that they need to know, even in this crooked generation, that somehow they will stand out.
Yeah.
And I know God is faithful for a parent who is feeling discouraged, who is feeling that they have not been doing their best. It's never too late. And I know we are all going to make it and
Yes.
be better parents. Thank
Wow.
you very
Well
much.
said. Like Claire said, we need to be intentional. As parents, be intentional with your child. Intentional with what they're exposed to, what they watch. Can your children talk to you? Can they trust you with a big secret? And when they tell you, don't laugh at them. And sometimes we're just poor listeners. Someone just wants somebody to listen to them, but we are busy giving them advice. Sometimes listen to your child and say, what would you like me to do? Most of the girls you'll see, unfortunately, like a survey we did, have either been raped or have had a near rape experience. Can your child talk to you? Would you know that detail? Bambe, don't trust uncles. Don't let your girl child sleep with uncles in the room. Nowadays, it's even become, the other way, even for men. Eh? So, be intentional with your children.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Kagumaho. I know time is not our friend,
Yes.
but mwebale mnonga
Thank
twabasima
you.
mwebale kwisha. Thank you, our
Thank
dear
you.
viewers. We love you so very much. Sorry about my voice once again, but regardless, I know we are blessed. I love you so very much. From me, Claire Bwenje, and the Kagumahos, it is a bye-bye, and God
you.
bless you. See you again next Friday.
God bless you.